Hello everyone, I am Kenshin. Welcome to Talking About History. If we talk about unsolvable events, then the mystery of the Dyatlov Pass in February 1959 must be on the list. After all, the condition of the 9 climbers was very bad, and there were no clues, which led to the UFO inference. It has remained a mystery for many years. Today we will learn about this event from the perspective of controversy. Before the show starts, please subscribe, share, and turn on the little bell. This will help us grow faster. Without further ado, the show begins. So, gather round, folks, and let me spin you a tale that's colder than a Siberian winter and more mystifying than a magician's trick. Picture this. It's January 23, 1959, and 10 adventurous souls, feeling the itch of wanderlust, decide to embark on a journey through the frost-bitten heart of Russia's Ural Mountains. But this ain't your average winter wonderland. It's a trek that would make even the hardiest of snowmen shiver. Now, these weren't just any random bunch of people. Oh no, they were hikers, seasoned in the art of conquering nature, and they had set their sights on a challenge that would cement their names in the halls of legends. They were aiming to cross the northern Urals in the dead of winter. One of them, however, must have had a sixth sense or maybe just a bad case of the sniffles, because he bailed early due to medical reasons. Probably the best decision of his life, retrospectively speaking. They were supposed to send a chirpy, "We're alive and well" message back to their sports club by February 20th. But when the date rolled around, and their silence was deafening, worry started to set in. It wasn't long before a search party was dispatched, cue dramatic music. Now, this is where things start to get all kinds of strange. The search party, braving the cold, found the first batch of 5 hikers scattered across the snow like some bizarre, ice-cold jigsaw puzzle. Here's the kicker. Their attire, or lack thereof, and injuries were about as puzzling as quantum physics. One guy had seemingly taken a nibble at his own knuckle. I mean, talk about a tough bite. But wait, it gets weirder. As the snow receded like the curtain on a grand stage, the remaining 4 were found, and, folks, the plot thickens. Their injuries, a buffet of the bizarre. One had a noggin that had taken a serious beating, another's neck looked like it was auditioning for a role in The Exorcist, and 2 were sans eyes. There's more. One of the eyeless wonders was also missing her tongue. Over the years, theories have swirled around like snow in a blizzard. Was it a natural disaster? Some top-secret weapon testing room? Or, my personal favorite, a Yeti bar brawl gone wrong? The mystery of the 9 brave souls who ventured into the unknown, now known as the Dyatlov Pass Incident, remains as chilling and unresolved as ever. Dyatlov Pass named after student who planned the trek. Now lean in close, because here's where our story takes a turn toward the legendary. This unforgiving slice of the Ural Mountains they were marching into. It got its grim name, the Dyatlov Pass, after the young whipper-snapper leading this intrepid band, Igor Dyalov himself, a lad of just 23. Old Igor was no slouch. He was an engineering student at the Ural Polytechnic Institute, a bright spark with a penchant for adventure and the unfathomable. He didn't go it alone, no sir. He roped in 8 of his institute cronies, all sprightly in their early 20s, each one as experienced in hiking as a squirrel is in nut collecting. And let's not forget the seasoned sports instructor joining the squad, a gent who had seen the late side of his 30s. So there they were, about 5 days into their frosty foray, when one of their own, Yuri Yudan by name, starts feeling the old sciatica pinch. Ouch. He bids them farewell, little knowing he's dodging a bullet of the unknown kind. He hobbles back to safety, while the remaining 9, blissfully unaware of their looming date with destiny, pitch their tent on what will become their final campsite as February frost begins to bite. And that, my good people, is the foreshadowing of an enigma that even now sends shivers down spines and launches whisperings across campfires. The Dyatlov Pass Incident is one cold case that stayed ice cold. Search party finds bodies, and baffling scene. It's the sort of tale to make the hairs on the back of your neck do a little dance, isn't it? The search party's discovery paints a picture that's both peculiar and perturbing. Imagine the scene: a tent, seemingly a sanctuary against the ruthless clutches of the Ural cold, collapsed under a white shroud of snow. The belongings inside, all in order as if the tenants might return any minute. Boots aligned, sliced bread waiting patiently on a plate. This was no hasty abandonment. But here's the kicker: the tent, it didn't just flap open in the unforgiving wind, oh no. It was cut wide from the inside, a desperate escape hatch by someone cocooned within. As the seamstress pointed out, it's not the work of an outsider. They were slicing their way out, not in. Just when you think it couldn't get any more bizarre, we stumble upon the first two bodies, Yuri Doroshenko and Yuri Krivonishenko. A haunting image of desperation, laid out in their undergarments by the remains of a fire that failed to ward off the Grim Reaper. The oddities pile up: burns on one, self-inflicted wounds in a frantic bite, raw human survival instincts pushed to the brink. Then there's Igor Dyatlov and Zinaida Kolmogorova, positioned as if in mid-attempt to claw back to their fabric fortress. And Rustam Slobodin, whose final effort to rejoin his comrades was frozen in time and snow, adds another layer to this chilling enigma. What series of events led him to flee their haven in such haste and horror? What were they running from, or, worse yet, what unimaginable thing were they running towards? The mystery of the Dyatlov Pass is a Pandora's box of questions with answers as elusive as shadows at dusk. Different causes of deaths. Why? Well, buckle up, because just when you thought our spine-tingling tale couldn't twist any tighter, it does. The plot, already thick with mystery, deepens further with what looks like a macabre final act set by nature herself. The curious case of hypothermia, where the icy embrace of the cold confuses the mind into shedding layers in a false flush of heat, might explain the bewildering state of the first bodies discovered. But then, spring thaw rolls around, and with it comes a discovery that sends investigators and onlookers alike tumbling head first down the rabbit hole. An indigenous Mansi hunter stumbles upon what appears to be a makeshift snow den, a final attempt at refuge by those still unaccounted for. Inside this icy crypt, the remains of Alexander Kolevatov, Nikolai Thibaut Brinol, sports instructor Semyon Zolotaryov, and Lyudmila Dubanina are discovered. But these last chapters of life were not authored by hypothermia alone. Thibaut Brinol's skull fractured as if by an unseen force, pieces of bones sent into his brain. Zolotaryov and Dubanina, crushed as though the very mountains had rebelled against them, with injuries suggesting immense external pressure. And the haunting voids where their eyes should have been, Dubanina's tongue missing, paint a scene more akin to the horrific than a mere chance encounter with the elements. The initial sweep of the investigation drummed up more questions than answers, concluding only that a compelling natural force was behind the tragedy. Yet, what force could wield such precise brutality? The Dyatlov Pass incident drifts into the realm of speculation, with theories ranging from avalanches and infrasound to military tests and even otherworldly encounters. Radiation detected on hikers' clothing. The tantalizing tendrils of conspiracy, twirling their whispers through the tangled woods of the Ural Mountains. A classic conundrum, isn't it? When the mighty curtain of the Soviet realm draws close, what devilry could be lurking behind it? The plots thicken, the speculations snowball. Radiation on clothing, say you? Now that does add a rather peculiar piece to our jigsaw puzzle. Could these tragically hip young souls have stumbled upon a clandestine canvas of Cold War weaponry waltzing with disaster? Soviet secrets are as many as the stars, dear friend, and just as distant and unreachable. The Kyshtym mishap, that's no small blip on the Geiger counter of history. A nuclear hiccup that left its scar on the land and, perhaps, unwittingly on the hikers too. But, does it sew up the riddle of their demise? Not quite. You see, in a world where shadows cast doubt, it's the Yetis with their mythical might, the covert dabblings of the KGB, and the ever-so-stealthy moves of the CIA that caught the curious and fanned the flames of fantastical tales. And between you, me, and the mountains, it's just as likely as a troop of tap-dancing bears in the wilds of Siberia. The slab avalanche theory. Fast forward to 2019, and the shroud of mystery enveloping the Dyatlov Pass incident finds itself subject to the harsh light of modern scrutiny. The Russian government, perhaps driven by a blend of curiosity and closure, cracks open the case once more. And who steps on the stage but prosecutor Andrei Koyakov, wielding a theory as chilling as the Siberian air itself. The slab avalanche theory. It's like a scene straight from nature's own thriller. The slope, seemingly innocuous in its incline, held a treacherous potential beneath its snowy veil. Koyakov paints a picture where a slab of snow, silent and deadly, creeps over the unsuspecting tent. The terror of the moment, the raw fear of being buried alive under an avalanche's icy grip, could indeed spur a frantic flight into the cold, cruel night. The hikers, their judgment clouded by panic, make a desperate bid for survival. A fire in a futile attempt to reclaim some warmth from the bone-chilling cold, a snow den for shelter. These actions speak volumes of their will to live. Yet, nature, in her unforgiving sovereignty, has other plans. The collapse of the snow den, the indiscriminate feasting of scavengers on the vulnerable, each piece falls into place like a tragic puzzle, painting a grim picture of survival turned to doom. Slab avalanche theory is tested. The plot thickens, my friend, with a twist of scientific rigor and a dash of computational prowess. Enter Johann Gorm and Alexander M. Puzren, armed with the formidable weapon of mathematics, stepping into the arena to scrutinize Kuryakov's slab avalanche theory. They toiled in the realm of digital simulations and equations, their aim, to cast light on the darkened corners of the Dyatlov Pass enigma. Their conclusion, published with scholarly gravitas, breathes life into the possibility of a slab avalanche. The conditions, the slope, the cruel dance of nature and physics, all aligning in a cosmic nod to the theory's feasibility. Yet, they remain anchored in humility, their findings not a declaration of absolute truth but a contribution to the tapestry of understanding. Ethan Green, from the snow-whispering halls of the Colorado Avalanche Information Center, leans into the conversation with a word of cautious endorsement. The theory, cocooned in the realm of possibility, dances on the precipice of likelihood, a mirage of certainty in the vast desert of the unknown. And then, as if to remind us of the mountain's whispered secrets, Jim McElwain, a bard of geohazards, weighs in. His knowledge, deep as the caverns of thought, recognizes the haunting improbability etched into the slopes of the Dyatlov Pass. Yet, in the shadow of doubt, he admits the allure of the avalanche theory, a reluctant suitor to an unanswered question. The stage is set, the actors briefed. Yet, the script remains elusive, a narrative woven from the threads of science, speculation, and the undying human quest for answers. The Dyatlov Pass incident, like a novel with its final pages torn away, continues to captivate, to haunt, to challenge. In this quest for truth, every theory, every model, every whispered hypothesis brings us closer to understanding, or deepens the mystery that shrouds that fateful night under a blanket of snow and stars.